So let's get to it. So, excuse me. We'll start with the dollar. So dollar's looking interesting. We are still kind of finding support in this area. And again, this is essentially what I want to see from the DXY. I don't want to see heavy bearish momentum breaking to the lows, because of course that means that the bullish bias I had is invalidated at that point in time. What we are seeing is a very kind of corrective, slow, even start to become sideways now, which again is a sign, a testament to the buyers at this area that we are finding support and potentially could be on our way to the upside. I'm not really confirming that yet. Momentum hasn't really kicked in. Somewhat of a double bottom at the lows here, but nothing really convincing. Price has still been trading within this descending channel, and I wouldn't really say we've got kind of a clear-cut breakout of that. If anything, we've kind of got rejection of the high, which could potentially mean another wave to the downside. So dollar is finding support, check. That's the key thing we're looking for. Now we need to see kind of momentum kick in and the real buys kick in to really indicate that, okay, not only is support forming, but we're actually going to make a move to the upside now, because the plan is pretty simple with the dollar. We are looking at this bullish structure, again, from a swing bias, higher highs and higher lows. The plan is, can we catch the next higher low for potentially the next higher high, or at least an equal high. So that is still very much the thought process I have with the dollar, looking for that long-term buy. But again, not quite ready yet. Still seeing rejection at the high end of the channel. If anything, this could mean another drop. So I'm being patient, but the bias is still very much there, looking for some buys. EURUSD, pretty much the same situation as well. We've got this ascending channel, which looked at one point, maybe price was hinting at a breakout. Again, not really seeing the momentum take charge and really get that clear-cut breakout of that channel, and then closing a tad bullish this morning. So I'm still liking what we're seeing. We're still overly quite corrective, which again shows that even though, yes, we are trending to the upside, the buys don't really have much momentum. We are really struggling at this area of supply, and perhaps that sell is only a matter of time. So I'm very interested with the price action for Euro. I think Euro is my favorite pair to potentially open a new position. I'm currently still in pound Aussie, but if I'm going to enter a new trade this week, EURUSD is probably the pick of the bunch at the moment. So again, in terms of what I'm looking for, either a more convincing break, that could be my entry signal in itself, taking the break of that counter trend line with targets back at the low here, and probably secondary targets back at the low here at 1.14040. Or if price does push up into resistance again, and maybe I see a really significant reaction, that could be my entry as well. Entries there, stop loss above the high, and again, same target. So Euro, I'm still very short bias. We're trading in a very interesting area. I like how we're trading as well. Very corrective, very tiresome. It looks like the sellers are starting to step in, but not quite there yet with entries. That's the main takeaway. I'm not quite pulling the trigger just yet. So either we do get the breakout of the counter trend line, or price perhaps comes back to test resistance again and then gives me another reaction, which is convincing enough of an entry. So that's still very much the take there on EURUSD. But again, I'll be keeping a close eye to see what the DXY is doing at the same time. If the dollar's giving me some healthy signs as well as Euro, great. If Euro's looking okay, but the dollar's not quite there, I might be quite hesitant with the entries. In terms of pound USD, so this one did see some nice downside. Pound was a little bit weak yesterday, actually. So we did see a bit of a move down, but nothing crazy. If anything, this could actually be another correction for price to continue higher. So I'm not quite convinced about any selling pressure just yet. I mean, price is respecting a pretty key level of resistance, so I would imagine to see some downside regardless. Even if the market is still going to go higher, I kind of would expect to see a bit of a correction anyway before we do continue higher. Potentially, pound is rejecting this area to have a big collapse. That could be the play as well, but I'm not quite convinced. I think if you were to drop to the lower time frames, like even the 50-minute chart, there might be some nice shorts coming back into this area or this general area of consolidation. There might be a lower high to take advantage of for pound USD, but I wouldn't look for much more than just that bearish leg back into lows. As I said, if I scale to the 4-hour chart, this looks like a correction, looks like a flag pattern, which is a bullish pattern. And again, you can see we're trading into areas of demand. You've got an area slightly below us, which is a strong area of demand as well. Did kickstart this bullish move. We could tap into that before potentially continuing. So all in all, I'm not quite convinced with the shorts for pound. I know we're respecting a really key level. This is our lower high, which gave us this low. So technically speaking, we are still technically bearish as long as price does not break through that high. But we've had a really strong move to the upside, not really seeing heavy selling pressure, and it looks like a correction. So I'm very much staying put with pound USD. I'm not quite convinced. Lower time frame, sure, I think there is a sell to take, but the key component of that is a short-term trade. I'm looking for swing positions which I can hold for a few days, maybe a few weeks if things go really well. I'm not quite seeing that with pound. I think euro looks a lot better, so I'd rather focus my efforts there. But some short-term sells do make sense to me, so I can see some opportunities there on the lower time frames. Dollar CAD still pretty bullish for. It looks like it is hinting at a move to the upside. I mean, mostly consolidation since we last spoke. But again, I'm looking at the daily chart, and that had a really convincing close on Thursday, which really sets the tone for me in terms of the direction. We've had a really significant level of support, resistance, resistance, and for the most part, support again. And of course, that really strong close on Thursday, really indicating to me that, okay, strength is here, buyers are back in town, and we can probably see a push back to the highs. So that is very much my expectation with dollar CAD, at least a push back to 1.386. We could go further if USD does really see some strength, because I think CAD's a little bit weak now, which is kind of helping out dollar CAD. But so if USD can really gain some strength, that will really set us to the upside. But I think a nice intraday opportunities on the cards here. I was actually speaking about a slightly bigger retracement for dollar CAD. I spoke about possibly a retest of this trend line, another retest of this support level for a buy. But it looks to me that we might have had this impulse. We're consolidating and getting ready for perhaps another impulse, which could present some nice buys on a pullback on a retest of this same range to take it back into highs. So this could be, again, a nice intraday opportunity, maybe on like an hourly chart, 30 or 15-minute chart, if you really want to refine that entry, I think could make sense. But what I'm starting to anticipate now with dollar CAD is somewhat of a bullish structure starting to form, which could take us back to resistance at 1.387. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish on dollar CAD. Of course, right now it's kind of just consolidation, so it's a bit 50-50. But let's say if we do get a strong break to the upside, well, that really shows us that the buyers are back in control, and I'll be looking at some intraday pullbacks for a push to the high. So that is very much the plan there with dollar CAD. Aussie dollar, looks like we're hinting at a move down. We are still just about respecting support, which is why I'm not quite convinced yet, but I do think that is happening. It looks to me that we have formed that head and shoulder pattern, that right shoulder's come into play after the lovely breakout of this ascending channel, which I'm looking as basically the correction of this bearish leg, because this bearish leg here actually went and broke structure. Then since that's happened, we've had a lovely pullback. I'm anticipating this to be the next lower high after this high. So if that's the case, I'm expecting us to at least come back and test those lows. So I'm pretty bearish on Aussie, looking at impulse, pullback, another impulse. So a very, simple pattern at play here. In terms of trading it, I did speak about a retest of this level of resistance, which unfortunately just about didn't happen. Again, we spoke about the head and shoulder pattern, left head, right shoulder. But again, looking for price to actually test that resistance before shorting. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But I did also mention, if we were not to get that opportunity there, waiting for the break of this neckline or support level, that would be a convincing sign that, okay, we probably are going to continue lower. So if we can wait for that breakout, either shorting on the breakout or waiting for pullbacks intraday, I think is a smart move, and targets back to the low look like a pretty likely target for Aussie dollar. So pretty bearish on this one. Again, that's really the theme for me with the USD pairs, anticipating some strength for the dollar. I wouldn't say it's quite here yet, but I'm looking at these individual USD pairs individually, and they're all kind of showing signs that maybe dollar strength is likely to come. Of course, things can change quite quickly, and yeah, if something does change and affects my bias, I'll let you guys know. But for now, I do anticipate more downside. So yeah, wait to see if we can get that clear break, because of course we might find support and we might rally, which makes things a bit awkward. But if we can break to the downside, I do expect to see somewhat of a trend form. And it's pretty much the same setup for New Zealand dollar as well. Really corrective on the way up. This did break out of that channel. And again, I spoke about the same pattern, another head and shoulder pattern here. So you got the left head, right shoulder, but of course we can see price hasn't quite come back to retest it. We could still make that move potentially, so I'm not going to rule that out. Maybe price is quite choppy right now, respecting support. We could see a move up before coming back down, but it's the same logic applies. You've got a couple lower highs here, looking at another one, somewhat of a rough trend line connecting the dots there. I think a retest that area makes a lot of sense. Or again, you could wait for a break of support here. Let's say if we do get a strong break of that level, I think that's a strong sign to say the bears have really stepped up and we're likely to push into lows now. So either shorting on the breakout or waiting for some intraday retests, I think makes sense, or intraday pullbacks make a lot of sense there. So Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar for me, kind of getting identical setups really. So kind of picking between the two. But yeah, I think if that support breaks, we're really on the cards. If it doesn't, I would say keep an eye on resistance up at 0.596. In terms onto my favorite pair, gold. I'm joking, this is not my favorite pair at all. My analysis hasn't changed for about a month really for gold. And yeah, I'm still not interested in trading. I know I sound like a broken record. But yeah, it's the case. It is literally the case. Nothing's changed. Of course, we analyze gold every day. Keep up to date. Of course, one of these days, something is going to change. Something is going to happen. Momentum is going to come back into the market. But as of yet, that's not the case. Of course, maybe the New York session we get moving. I don't know. But as of right now, it looks pretty dead. I'm sure intraday, there's some pullback opportunities. I mean, some mean reversion opportunities. Buying low, selling high. I did speak about buying at support again. Last week and coming to this week yesterday, and yeah, it has provided some nice support there again. Essentially when the market conditions are choppy like this, dropping to lower time frames and just trying to pick lows and highs is actually the most effective way to trade, and not trying to look for continuation patterns or pullback opportunities, because you're not really seeing a trend here to begin with. So looking for pullbacks and continuation patterns, you can maybe get away with it if you're very strict and very disciplined and very, very focused. But on average, it's a very choppy market, so you don't really want to be favoring those type of opportunities. You're better off just going elsewhere and looking for something that is actually at least lightly trending. Gold is just not really doing that at all. So buying low, selling high, as I mentioned earlier, are some smart ideas. Waiting for price to push into resistance, waiting for rejection. Likewise with support, really nice rejection with that candle overnight. Hasn't given us much upside, but it's a nice reaction to begin with. So yeah, in terms of the higher time frames at the 4-hour chart, as I've said for the past month, just waiting for price to make a move into those areas and looking for rejection. That's all I'm looking for. Nothing crazy. In the middle is not really where I want to operate, and definitely not where I want to be putting a swing trade. In terms of silver, we're starting to form our own kind of miniature consolidation now. Things are getting a bit choppy here. You got the swing high back at 39.4 roughly, 39.5, and you got the swing low here around 36.2. So depending which we break out, depending which way we see momentum, will dictate my bias kind of for silver. If we do clear resistance well, I'm pretty bullish. I'm looking for a push to the high. If we do clear support well, I'm looking for a push into the low. Again, I'm still long-term bullish on silver, just like I'm still long-term bullish on gold. I really like this level for a nice break and retest. I've spoken about this a few times, but again, we're nowhere near it, so don't need to go into too much detail. But if we do break to the downside, perhaps that could kickstart a pullback into that area. Then maybe we can speak about some longer-term buys later on. But at the moment, silver's just back and forth, so not really interested with price action in this area until we can see some convincing momentum outside of that, and then probably some intraday opportunities to continue that momentum back to highs or back to lows. So yeah, silver becoming a bit choppy now, maybe kind of copying what gold's doing, so kind of putting that to one side.